call our meeting to order. We're not, if you could do the roll call, please.
Evans. Here. Guggen.
Yeah.
Miller.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
McEvers.
Yes.
English.
Here.
Let's please rise for the invocation. We have Pastor Kevin Schultz with Divine Church with us tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council members. Thank you for this privilege. And also on behalf of all of our ministers in Coeur d'Alene, Hayden area, we appreciate the honor to be able to open up your meeting with prayer. Let's pray. Lord God, I pray that you would be with these men and women this evening as they serve our city with their time and talents. I pray that you would give them awareness that they are God's servants whom you have given to us and to our city for our well-being in government. Bless them with the wisdom and the courage to do what is right and just and fair, along with the spirit of cooperation and humility to work together for the common good. I ask you to graciously protect them and their families, keep them healthy and safe. According to your wisdom and love, prosper our community, prosper our homes, and prosper our hearts in ways that only you can do. I ask these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Dan, if you'd lead us in the pledge, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any amendments to the agenda tonight. We're at public comment. Anyone wishing to give public comment tonight, we should have 3 minutes to do so and talk about city business. Anyone in the audience wish to give public comments tonight? Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Christina Schock. I'm a resident of Coeur d'Alene. Can I hand these out? Is that okay? It's just a map to help reference. All right. My name is Kristen Schock, and I am accompanied with my son, Easton. I work full-time. I run a small business here in Coeur d'Alene. I'm a mom to 3 small children. Easton attends Skyway Elementary, and as if that wasn't enough, I'm also currently serving as the vice president of the Skyway Elementary PTA. I wanted to bring to your attention a really dangerous situation that's occurring in our community. The roundabout that you see on your map here on West Hanley and North Corsellis is becoming a really dangerous section for pedestrians, including the children that are going to and from their school. It does not land on school district property, therefore they don't have the funding set aside to put a crossing guard right there. But West Hanley itself has become really dangerous with the amount of traffic that's going through, especially with the amount of development that's happened just north of Skyway and just west, just on the other side of Atlas. It's becoming a major thoroughfare for the vehicles to get through, to get over to Ramsey, to get to that highway. It's also kind of a hard roundabout to see when you're driving through. So just even as a vehicle going around trying to pay attention to the cars that are coming in, and then the amount of children that are going through that roundabout, plus the trees and the signage that you have all there, it is becoming really dangerous. The other day I was down there to try and take pictures to show just exactly how busy it was. There were cars lined up at least a block on both sides trying to get into the roundabout. And twice I saw children almost getting hit because cars were not waiting for the children to completely cross the road. And right there, those little tiny crosswalks, they're not very big. So it's hard for a car to understand why a car can't wait for a child to get across. I have spoken with the principal of Skyway, Mrs. Peak. She's also expressed some concerns about how dangerous that little area is. But again, she was the one that said that since it's not on school property, they can't put a crossing guard there. I've also spoken with the school resource officer, Wolfinger, and he has also expressed the severity of that dangerous four-way roundabout. He said he has tried to go and monitor that area, but I'm afraid that that little section right there needs more than, not even just a crossing guard, but maybe some lights for people to cross. Because it's not only a dangerous area for not even just our elementary school, but if you look, it's also a major crosswalk for our students to get down. Thank you.
No, you can go, go ahead and finish.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Just down to Woodland Middle School, and Lake City High School as well also uses that. So it's just a really busy sidewalk that we really need to take a look at.
If you wouldn't mind leaving your contact information with Troy, our city administrator.
Yes.
And we will get this checked out, and we'll have our city engineer take a look at that. I know we have, we're working on another spot in Coeur d'Alene near a school that has a similar issue, not a roundabout issue, but we've been able to come up with some flashing beacons, which is basically a little button you push and it flashes, and so it could be something that we could look at there. So please leave your contact information with Troy, and we'll get to work on that.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I would just add a comment to that I live about a block from there, so I'm back and forth there all the time. So, I can picture a lot of times of what you're saying, depending on the time of the day, but I mean, that's the main thoroughfare to the high school, and it's a real cross traffic kind of a place. So that is a concern, and I had the same idea, maybe some of those blinking lights, and I see in a different portion we're talking about all kinds of stuff that we might be able to get with funds for different things, so this might, something like this should be on the list, so.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Appreciate that. Come on up. Right there.
Good evening. My name is Linda Putz, and my public comment is about the public comments. I love the idea of being able to come up here and make presentations regarding issues that are of a concern to the community. However, as a person who likes to come and listen to the meetings, a lot of times I have comments that I want to make after a presentation has been made. So if there's some way, whether it's this meeting and other meetings also, that the public can have comments after a presentation is made. How do we know what we want to address until we've heard the presentation? So if there's some way that they can add public comments, whether it's at the end of each agenda item, or if it's at the end of the evening, where we can come back and even ask questions. I've been to many a meeting where I leave it and I have more questions than when I showed up, which is the goal, right? To be informed and to have questions, but then there's no way to get them answered. So if those questions could be addressed at the end of the meeting, once a presentation has been made, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else wishing to give public comment? Come on up.
Hello, I'm David Hopkins, and I live at 115 East Anton Avenue here in Coeur d'Alene. I'm here to present a personal issue that I have, and it has to do with our current building codes. And my apartment sits at 115 East Anton, and I am exactly 71 feet from the enclosure for Dogginit Dog Daycare. And they babysit dogs all day long, and they bark incessantly from 7 o'clock in the morning until 5:30. And some of us have health conditions that require rest, and I have filed several police reports online. I've also made several phone calls to dispatch regarding it. And specifically, I'd like to bring everybody's attention to the Idaho Ordinance Code of 6.15.050. It's under the heading, Animals Disturbing Neighborhood. And it says, it is unlawful for any person to keep or harbor any animal which is loud, continued, and frequent barking, howling, yelping, meowing, screeching, crowing, or other noise, or by noxious, offensive odors that endanger the health and welfare and disturbs the peace and comfort of any reasonable person or neighborhood. And it says this section does not apply to an animal control impound facility or veterinary hospitals. And Doggett is not, an animal control impound, and it is not a veterinary hospital. But for some reason, when I have complained to animal control and our local police department, they say that there is nothing that they can do about it. And I have spoken with Councilman Gookin on it. I've also discussed it with the city administrator and presented this to him as well. I just spoke with Animal Control Officer Greitness, and he says that this particular code does not fit this particular commercial business. And he said that there have been numerous attempts to come out and do noise readings on it. The decibels have been within their reason. And the thing I find a little odd is that there is nothing available to the public on decibel readings or anything else like that. And as far as the current ordinance, it does not stipulate noise ordinance or noise levels to be within a certain decibel reading. And this is it's a growing issue. It's creating other conflicts with the residents there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Troy, you've spoken to Mr. Hopkins about that, and you have some information. What are our things that we can do to help?
The business has been permitted there since 2016 and has been, allowed as per the zoning. And so the strategy that I had with this gentleman was to work with that business owner and see if there's something that we could possibly come up with. We'd exhausted other avenues that he might have as far as moving within that complex and doing some other things. So we had very limited number of opportunities to handle it from his side of the noise, so.
Okay. Come on up, Dave. So, Dave, is this something that over the last little bit has gotten worse? So he says it's been here since 2016, so
Right.
it hasn't affected you until recently?
That is correct.
So something has changed.
Yes, and I did go over, I believe it was on Friday, and speak with the business owner there, Cynthia, and we had a really good conversation discussing, ways that we could possibly mitigate the noise, and I suggested a few things like, putting tarps up, maybe blocking the view of others that might be coming through the area and possibly even antagonizing the animals there. She says that has occurred. So it just seems like in the last 6 or 8 months, it has grown, and it's probably been because of the differing customers that she has coming in. And it seems like she's having, she calls them barkers, and she's having more barkers that are coming to her business now. And it's just something that she's contending with. I did speak to her earlier tonight and offered my personal assistance, about putting up some kind of a visual barrier. I'm willing to do that. The other thing I would just like to interject is that I would like to see that that particular zoning code be revised in the future, that other commercial businesses that are classified as what Dog and Dog Daycare is, not be classified as a C-17, but be classified as something other to mitigate the noise levels as not to disturb the residents. And as a resident there, Idaho state law says that I have the right to peaceful enjoyment of my property. But that has more to do with a one-on-one personal relationship with, the property owner and or, the property manager. And I would like to see the city build on that and say, we probably maybe need to look at that a little bit for, the residents here of Coeur d'Alene. And I'm just asking for, some consideration on it and see if anything can be done.
We'll be in contact with the business owner to see if we can back it up to the way that it was 6 or 8 months ago.
Okay,
Help you out.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to give public comment tonight?
Kathy.
Hello.
Hi. My name is Catherine Ginsel. I live at 621 East Foster. I live on a corner, and when I purchased my home, I came from out of the area, so, disclosures, inspections, reliance on the local realtor's expert, title insurance. I relied on all these resources to tell me what I was facing at the purchase of my property. Well, long story short, already went through a protracted period where I found out my sewer line was conjoined to a neighboring sewer line. And so that became quite an issue, but it got resolved eventually. Fast forward to the city doing its redoing its sewer main on Foster. It came to my attention that my neighboring property, a different property next door to me, didn't have a sewer lateral in front of their house. And putting two and two together and trying to figure out where that sewer line was, finally got done when the property got sold again. And come to find out, they are on the sewer line that was presumed to be abandoned with the rerouting on my property. So, I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. But city policy or utility policy says no building sewer shall be located in any lot other than the lot which is the site of the building or the structure served by such sewer. I translate that into this situation because I now have 2 sewer lines running across my property. And to me, that's kind of a lot of waste coming across my property. And I also am limited in what I can do improvement-wise on my property with the location of that sewer lateral that I don't have any say over. So the last time, so I rerouted my sewer line to try and resolve the issue that I thought was just with one other property. The other property also rerouted their sewer line at great expense to both of us, with the understanding that that sewer line was abandoned. I'm not very good at this. And so to find out that there's now a third line there, and it's just a little bit concerning and stressful. And I would like to request that the city help me in resolving this issue because it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of effort on my part and any legal wranglings to try and get it to be enforced. But I think that that line was considered abandoned, and it should have to go through the same process with notices to title and having to reroute onto their own property. And so I'd appreciate that.
Did you reach out to our wastewater department?
I've had wonderful conversations with Mr.
Is that
Anderson.
how you found out where all the sewer lines were?
Kind of found out when the new neighbor did a sewer survey, and I found all the markers in my yard.
So you worked with Mike Anderson?
So after that discovery, yeah, I've been in touch with Waste Management and talking to them, and there's always the question of where the authority is to actually enforce the one sewer line per property requirement. And they are technically tied in the street at a different line since I created a whole new line, but they run through my whole property. So they run the whole depth of my property and then over laterally to their house. So they are within a foot of my basement, and then they are also all along the whole front side of my property out to the street. And so when I was exploring the option of doing an addition, I was explained by the contractor that if any damage comes to that line, that they would not be responsible. And so from then on, my hands are obviously tied because I'm not going to pay for another whole sewer lateral. So I'm being limited by by somebody else about what I can do on my property, and that just doesn't feel right to me. Also, if there's another, it's an old clay line that's from the 40s or whenever they first established sewer laterals. So and it was reported on the first investigation that there were cracks and it was ending their near useful life, if it breaks, then I've got sewage running in my side yard, and it's not that far away from my basement wall. And so I've already kind of experienced that, and I really don't want to experience.
So Mike has your contact information.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let me reach out and I'll talk to Mike tomorrow and see what our options are there.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Anyone else wishing to give public comment tonight? All right, we will move forward to our first, or
Somebody's coming.
I think it's Todd.
Oh, yes.
So Todd,
How about that sewer line, Todd?
yeah,
Okay.
A little bit out of my scope, but I'll help Mike in any way I can.
yeah. Talk to us about the 2020-2021, this is probably the 2021 annual snow plan. So that's probably the 2021-2022 annual snow plan.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's the 21-22. So
Okay.
anyway, I would like to take a minute before we go any further and talk about leaf pickup, just to give you some final numbers there. But before I get started, I would like to introduce to this gentleman to the right. We have gone through our interview process, and as of yesterday, Justin Kimberling is our new Assistant Director to the Streets and Engineering, so I wanted to introduce him. He's worked for the City of Coeur d'Alene for 16 years. He's been in our department, and we had some great interviews and a lot of competitive. We had 3 gentlemen fighting really hard for the spot, but looking forward to working with Justin. So he also was got to fill in for me, a week before leaf pickup, and he brought to you a quick demonstration on that. So this year our numbers were up. We hauled out to the airport 3,720 tons of leaves this year. We're normally in the lower 2,000s. Our loads were up this year. The number of loads to our distribution site, which we did up at the street department shop this year, and it worked really well. We had 858 loads. Last year we had about 540, so the leaves were up this year. We were very successful. The weather helped us a lot this year. The wet, the amount of rain we had, no snow, so we were able to get the job done in 9 days. That's about 4 days ahead of schedule. It took our sweepers 9 or 11 days to sweep the whole town, and so it was a great effort from the whole team. We ran 10 trucks this year. That's the most we've ever ran. And so great team effort, and really proud of everyone that participated. It takes about 35 people to pull that off. So anyway, moving on, we'll go to the 21-22 snow plan. That's a great picture out on Coeur d'Alene Lake Drive that I just like, and so wanted to put that there. Give you some of our staffing and preparation. We worked through the winter 2 shifts, 7 a.m. to 3:30, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Unless there's a snow event, then we move to 2 12-hour shifts, 4 to 4, and then 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. We have 21 operators involved during a snow event. Our mechanics are on staff. We have 5 mechanics at the shop to keep everything running. So that they spent about a month before leaf pickup in winter getting stuff switched over from summer to fall and winter activities. So they're busy. Our equipment we run during snow events is 4 loaders with gates. We run 4 road graders, 7 dump trucks with plows, 3 de-icers, 2 sand trucks, and 1 salt truck. Yesterday's snow event was a little tricky. Our de-icer product wasn't working as well in the morning hours, so we had to go back to our sand and using salt. That always is our colder weather option. This is the team that works on removing the snow. It takes pretty much everyone, office staff, even our engineering staff at times. Not the engineer, but our public works inspectors will fill in if we're running short. So that is a recent photo of the entire team. Moving forward, we operate on the simple conditions, red, yellow, and green. Red is normally full citywide plow, 4 inches of snow. 3 inches is when we start plowing. We will, as soon as we see 3 inches and more snow on the way, we will be doing a citywide plow. Yellow is more your freezing rain, up to 2 inches. A lot of times we will fight that with de-icer products and sand, things like that. Hills are always a concern. You might see us out plowing the hills and we're not plowing in town. So that's a common question we're asked, but we address the hills really quickly. Our green conditions, that's just cold morning temps, some moisture on the ground. Here again, it's more of a de-icing effort at that point. Plowing priorities, that's kind of our whole map that we work off of. We start out with arterials and hills. Once we've completed those, we move forward to collectors, and then we finally, hopefully, are able to move into the residentials. If the snow is still coming and we feel the need, we will back up and redo the arterials and hills before we get into residentials. We need to keep those open. So, I really wanted to point out a couple things with this presentation this year. We're starting to have a problem with street parking, and it's something that don't know the answer to yet, but it's really hard for us, leaf pickup, snow removal efforts. It's really hard. I know Mr. Gookin's asked in the past, odd, even days, things like that. We have not figured out a solid plan to do that without boosting up staff or bringing in, others, contractors and whatnot to do that. In this picture, you'll see there's a mailbox and a driveway and a truck parked right there, and this is just a great illustration of the problem with that truck there, because now the berm has moved anywhere from 5 to 10 feet off the curb of their driveway. There's not too much we can do in that situation when there's a vehicle parked there. Here's another one. Everyone likes to park their cars close, but you can see the line of the equipment where the gate is there on the right. We're going to have to follow that berm that the grader's doing, and now we've made a mess for the resident the next day. I'd like to remind everyone at this point, gates are to reduce the berm. They do not eliminate the berm. These pictures I'm showing you, though, make the berm bigger, so that's the problem we're having. This is an ideal scenario for us. No cars. You can see where the gate's lined up. Imagine where the curb is. We can get it to where they're going to probably have 2-3 inches of little lip there, and it's that easy. It's faster. So this is really the message we'd like, to get out there. If the public can just get their cars off the road just for that brief moment so we could go through, we can do it a lot faster and do a lot better job. Here again, garbage day is always a pain, but there's cars parked close to the driveway, so you can see how far out we're going to move away from their approach. This is what happens when you have lots of cars. This is worst case, as you can see in this picture. There's not much we can do when we get to this point. There's a driveway loss there. There's expensive vehicles parked there, and as the snow comes, we just have to keep moving further and further away, and it makes the street narrow. We have some roads that it gets to where we cannot even use the road grader at some point because it won't fit. So,
Mr. Mayor.
anyway, that's a problem of,
Just a
you know,
second,
street parking.
Todd,
Yeah.
Christie had a question.
Todd, so we've obviously seen these pictures over the years. What do you do when the public calls and expects the street department to come and dig them out?
When there is snow like that, you know, our go-to is code enforcement. When we see cars that have been parked there for a long time, we will have them help us and try and work through the problem. Movable cars that people may drive, that's a little more problematic. We will go out there and try and get as close as we can safely, back drag the snow away or something, but when they stack them up bumper to bumper, they have to shovel them out. I mean, we can't use the machines to clean out that close to private property, so
Well,
personal.
I think that's a good message, just to tell people that when they get to that point, you're going to have to dig them out yourself, so let's try not to let them get to that point.
Right, and it's just, there's more and more people, so, you know, the gates, I just remind everyone, the gates, they're a great tool, but we have to let the snow go somewhere. I mean, we can only carry it so long. You know, we say in our snow plan that we are gonna do our best to clear driveways. Our second attempt is to keep mailboxes clean. But if there is 3 cars parked in a row, we have to open that gate somewhere. We never try to bury a mailbox, but I mean, we can't carry the snow for blocks. We're not set up for that, so. We'd like to remind everyone, we do not plow alleys. We get a lot of calls on alleys. You know, alleys we don't have machines that fit in alleys. We are not equipped to do them, and it's not part of what we do. Sidewalks, we have ordinances that, you know, businesses and property owners are, you know, responsible up to their property. They need to clear the sidewalks. We do our best not to fill them back up, but they are responsible to clear their own sidewalk. This is long-term parking, street parking. This is a scary situation in this picture because the crews that work at night, you can imagine when you just have headlights, you're not going to see that very well, so cars tend to start blending into the backdrop. Here's the situation for this car. Obviously has not moved for quite some time, so we'd be calling code enforcement and work through that. But we just ask that street parking is, you know, long-term parking, that we try and minimize that. This is East Sherman, just another area that's a little tricky. It's a great idea here. It's a hard one for us to plow. We have to be in there very early. If we don't get there at 4 to 6 a.m., we're not going to get this section plowed out because of the way the cars are parked. We're going to end up, you know, we'll haul the snow around the corners the best we can. But so just another area I wanted to show. We try and plow that one before any of the businesses open, but depending on the storms, they don't always line up that way. So it's just a little tricky. Ask people to be patient. I'd like to just talk, even the little bit of snow we had yesterday, contractors and businesses, even property owners, you know, we have codes that speak to pushing snow into the street. Cannot have that. It makes a mess. We go through once. We don't plan on coming back to clean up little piles that are left behind. On Sherman, we struggle with people pushing their snow out of their property into the center berm, and then they push the berm into the opposing lane. And so it's problematic. So we ask our crews do go through, and we pick up the berm on Sherman. When there's enough snow, we try and get there, clean it up to give some more room. And this one is just, I like the picture, so I'm not going to, it's all cleaned up. We've been there, and the crews have done a good job. Our fleet is ready to go at this point. We are chained up. We talked to news agencies yesterday, wanted to know if we're ready for winter, and we are. We have all of our blades on, chained up, and they are ready to go. I would ask with the sanding and de-icers to remind people, please, to not follow us that close. The de-icers, a common thing that people do in a hurry. Those spray off the side. They like to drive through the side of the spraying device, and then they call us and tell us we sprayed their vehicle. We try to always not do that. We watch for them, we shut it off, but there's a delay, so we just ask people to give us a safe distance. The rocks obviously are a problem as well. As you can see, we're putting some different colors on the trucks to brighten them up. We've had people complain through the years that they don't see us. So we've upgraded the lights. I think when you see some of the lights out in the dark, you will all be impressed. There's no mistake now, they are plow trucks. So anyway, our goal, we have a map, but our goal is to have the city plowed out in 40 hours. That's up. It's the same as last year. It's something that I changed when I became the director. We've added lane miles to the city, and we always try to finish as fast as possible, but I like the crew to also know they have time to get it done. 40 hours is a push. I mean, we have lots of conditions out there, so that's, we are sticking with that. We have an active a map that we update throughout the day that you can go to our website, maps.coeurlane, cdaid.org, and /snowplow. My admin assistant updates it throughout the day as the crews call in, so you can follow where we are during an event. You can do online reporting, www.cdaid.org, and you can report issues there. Our office hours are 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You're welcome to call, and we always answer the phone. And we also have a snow line number that you can leave us a message and we will respond to. At this point, I'd take any questions.
Council, questions for Todd? Kiki?
Todd, the de-icer that you were talking about, are you still using that kind of unique mixture material that isn't salt? And I can't remember.
So we
Go ahead, can you talk about that?
We've been using beet juice for the last, it's been quite a while. The beet juice, surprisingly, we are still using. We have full tanks of it right now. It's actually gotten a little more expensive. It's not as competitive as it used to be. Even the beet juice comes with problems. It gums up the machines. It does create its own share of problems. A lot of people don't care for the smell of it, but yes, we are currently still using that. We don't use it downtown so much. We rely on salt and other things because the business, it really tracks, so it's just not the type of thing you want in that situation.
Okay, interesting, thank you.
Woody?
Couple arterials, the big streets, no gates. Is that correct?
Our arterial teams, we have dump trucks that do not have gates. However, I'm asking for a truck with a gate, so that would be the first one, something that I'm hoping to get. It would help us on some of those arterials to have that last truck have a snow gate. We do run an arterial team that consists of 2 road graders and 2 loaders with gates. So Ramsey, Government Way, Apple Way, Ironwood, some of those streets actually there is gates, and we do our best to keep the driveways open. But
And Highway 95 is not yours, is that correct?
it is not ours at this time, no.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Todd? Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Todd, every year it seems like you guys will do a prediction, what the winter weather will hold. Have you done one this year?
I have at the executive team meeting this week, but I already was proved wrong, so. I'm not a weatherman. From what I am researching, it looks like it's going to be wet and cooler. To me, that pencils out to snow. I like to think maybe warmer and lawn mowing, but I think we're going to be plowing snow this year.
Thank you.
Anything else for Todd? If not, we'd be looking for council action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to approve the 2020-21 snow plan.
Second.
Actually, that would be 2021, 2022. We got a little bit of a typo there, but I think we all know where we're headed. Motion and a second to approve the snow plan. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on to announcements. Any member of the council have an announcement tonight? Kiki?
I have 3 things. Wanted to tell the rest of council and our viewers. I did attend a presentation today at the Board of County Commissioners regarding the formation of an open space program to help them with efforts to possibly preserve some of the land out throughout the county. It was very well received. It's being placed on an upcoming agenda for approval, and you'll see more about that, and I'll try to keep you posted on it. The second thing is the Regional House and Growth Issues Partnership will be reconvening in January. There'll be further presentations with the focus of educating our advisory group on what the potential forms of a housing management structure might be. So there's a lot of public information and education for all of our members that's to come. And the last is the library is still holding many of their programs virtually, and those that are in person have been capped at a certain number. So if you would like to attend, contact them to reserve a space.
Okay, thank you. Any other council member have a comment, announcement? Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I was just going to weigh in with some 2 cents on this item here, which is that we have our fire chief is retiring, Kenny Gabriel is retiring, and the city is opening a position to replace you, which I don't think we can replace you. But anyway, they're going to try. And I had some concerns about the announcement that I thought I would share. I know this is most likely an administrative item and that, council doesn't really do the hiring, but I thought I would comment on it anyway. I would like to see a fire chief who employs the current, latest, most modern methods for firefighting, is really up to speed on what's going on out there, because there's a lot of new technologies that we could be looking into. I'd like to see a fire chief who supports his team, supports the firefighters, and I'd like to see a fire chief who is responsive to the public. I'd also like to see a national search. I think we should do that, especially given that we are, and it says on the side of the fire trucks, City of Excellence. I would like to see that, and if we have someone internal who can compete at that level, then by God, and they win, then that's really the City of Excellence. I would like to see those things. Unfortunately, the application says that it's internal only, and again, council has no control over this. And that they want an ideal candidate, it says here, who's a team player who works collaboratively and enthusiastically in an executive team environment. And to me, my fear with when I hear the word team player uttered by the city is that they want someone who's a compliant yes man. And my feeling is I want someone who's going to kick ass and run the fire department. And if that someone has an opinion that's different, I want them to speak up. So those are just my thoughts. And I know that, again, this is an administrative matter, but I thought from this seat that I would weigh in. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else have anything?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Wood.
So we've been thinking about Ron, who used to sit here. I'm in his seat, the old guy. And now I'm the old guy, right? So Ron has a lot of history in this city. There's been some stuff in the paper, and his obituary was just awesome. And he was really involved in the kids and the sports. He was on the basketball coaching and things like that. So what Jeff has been working on, we have a little presentation for Ron. We call it present some highlights of Ron's life.
Oh, no.
Here in the city of Coeur d'Alene. Thanks for doing this. Oh, and I do have tissues available.
Audio, Kyle?
Oh, man.
He's got the audio down there, hang on. Bear with me.
Technical difficulties.
When the man in the booth is in the front, it doesn't.
This is the Ron Ettinger highlight reel.
Highlight reel, yes.
Is it safe for family viewing?
Yes.
Good.
Why,
Okay.
yes, it is. He's blurped it here and there.
Okay.
We have an issue with the audio. We may not be. It's not playing.
Make sure I can see good.
We had it beforehand. Did it before. Afraid it's not gonna run tonight.
Let's bring it back, let's bring it back at our next meeting. I'm sure the audio was an important part of it.
Yep.
We might hear the words, "That's a bunch of crap," at least.
At least.
We'll
Sorry
bring
about that.
That's okay. Things happen. We'll bring it back next time.
That was just
Other
a
than that,
teaser.
Mayor, I haven't got anything.
So we have, I have some appointments, Stephanie Goss to the Child Care Commission, and Phil Ward and Sarah McCracken to the Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Woody, consent calendar.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented, including Resolution 21073.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent calendar? Roll call, please, Renata.
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Aye.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yep.
English?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Motion carried. We'll move on to other business. Acceptance of canvassed election results pursuant to the November 2nd, 2021 election. Renata, is that you?
Yes, this is a requirement under the state code that we accept the canvass of the vote in a council meeting, and those results are reflected in the council meeting minutes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the canvass election results as presented by Kootenai County, and the results be reflected in the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Congratulations. everyone.
Motion carried.
Everybody's,
You're
Did
stuck.
you say that to me?
It's the one who's fleeing.
The one who got away.
So on item number 2 under other business, I had some discussions today with some council members, and there's a lot of, this is a high ticket amount. There's a lot of dollars here. And it's a complicated issue. I know staff has worked through it quite a bit. And after talking with a number of the council people, came to the conclusion that this is something that is going to require a workshop, really, to get everyone up to speed on the criteria and the dollar amount involved in where we're going to expend the funds. And so, and Troy and I talked about that, and we kind of agreed that a workshop was necessary for it. And so it's more than just an item on the agenda. And Troy, is there anything that you can see in these items that's time sensitive? My idea was I felt that Mayor-elect Hammond needed to be involved in the decision, and so if it could be pushed to the first week in January, that would probably be best. So Troy, is that something that would work, and you can work with Mayor-elect Hammond on the schedule? And
Yep, absolutely. And we did not expect that you'd be able to absorb everything that was coming out, but we wanted to bring it in pieces, but a workshop's a good plan.
Okay. Council, or is everyone agreeing that workshop works the best there? So Troy will work with everyone's schedule and staff schedule, and we'll get that scheduled for the first week in January. And I hope you guys have a lot of fun.
And then, so if we have questions on some of these line items that were proposed, we can just forward those to you by the end of the year? Troy, is that, okay.
And simultaneously, we'll work on that list and combine it with some more detail.
Great, thank you.
And I want to thank staff, because staff has met and gone through a lot of this stuff. That just hasn't, there's so much information out there, it just hasn't gotten back to council to be able to really make the decision that you need to make, I believe. So we will have Troy work with you on that. So that's the final item for tonight. Dan, do you have that final piece of business?
You want this to last as long as possible.
No, I don't.
You got 1.5 more to go. All right, let's get out of here. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.